work. Today we will be looking at the trial balance. The last thing we did was balance off the T accounts. So usually after you have finished balancing off the T accounts or the double entry records, then you will go ahead and extract your trial balance. Now, remember when we did balancing off, we said that the balance was what was left after we subtracted the smaller side from the bigger side. Remember that? Okay. So that balance now will be used to do your trial balance. So what's a trial balance? On my screen here, it says a trial balance is the summary of all the balances on the accounts in a business books of accounts. And that may sound like a mouthful right now, so later on when we get into it, you'll understand better. But what it does, it provides a check of the accuracy of the double entry records. Let me shift this video over this side here. Right. So in double entry, it says for every debit entry, there is a corresponding credit entry. So the trial balance checks whether the total debit entries is equal to your total credit entries. So here, you're gonna see like what a trial balance looks like and what items would be on either side of the trial balance. So you have on the debit card, you have the heading trial balance, and sometimes you get the name of the organization. So you will put the name of the company, trial balance as at. In accounts, you have to be careful with the headings. Some headings are very, very important, and so you must pay close attention to your headings. So it's trial balance as at, and you give the dates that's given on the question. All right. So you have a column for your details, a column for your debits, and a column for your credits. But this is showing you exactly what should be on either side of the account. So on the debit side, you have your assets, things owned by the business, your expenses, because your expenses carry debit balances, whatever you purchase, and your drawings. And your credit side would have your capital, liabilities, and sales. There are other things there, like I said, but as you go through, you'll find out the other things that are there. All right, so if your trial balance totals do not agree, as in this case where the debit side is 11,200 and the credit side is 21,200, it means that you made some mistakes when you were making the double entry records. If your trial balance totals do not agree, it simply means that you had made some mistakes when you were carrying out your double entry procedure. And so you have to go back through your double entry records and check. Now, there are some times when the trial balance totals will agree, even though you make a mistake. And here's where it happens. So let's say, for example, you sold goods for cash, say $5,400, right? But you mistakenly wrote $4,500 in the sales account and also in the cash account. The trial balance will still balance even though you made that error. And so later on too, when we move on to look at errors, then you'll see how these errors play out. Okay, here on my screen, I don't know if you can see it, so I have to read it. I have a question. It says, prepare a trial balance from a list of accounts. On December 31, 2017, the owner of the business extracted the following list of balances from the accounting system. Let me stop here to point out something. The trial balance can be done two ways. This way on the screen here, you have a list of balances and you will have to figure out which of these items will be on the debit side and which will be on the credit side, right? And then you have another way where you'll do your T accounts, your balance off, and pick up your balance brought on balances. Depending on the side that they fall on. Understand? So I'm going to show you both ways. So this way now you have a list of balances and you're going to be deciding what belongs where. Okay. Remember earlier we said your assets and your drawings and your expenses on the debit side and your capital and your sales and so forth on the credit side, right? So we'll have to figure out from the question here what belongs on the debit side and what belongs on the credit side. So the first thing we have the accounts payable. No, payable. It means we owe for this. So at some future date, we will have to pay. So it's a liability, right? And it should be going out of the business. So hence it goes on your credit side. So your accounts payable is a liability, and your liabilities carry credit balances. Payable, you owe this money, you have to pay it back. And so the question, let me read the question for you. On December 31, 2017, the owner of the business extracted the following list of balances from the accounting system. Accounts payable, $400. Accounts receivables, $900. Advertising, $600. Bank loan, $7,000. Capital, $10,500. Cash at bank, $1,200. Drawings, $2,300. General expenses, $700. Purchases, $6,100. Sales, $8,800. And vehicle, $14,900. Prepare trial balance dated December 31, 2017. So if you look on the screen right here, you will see the date, X Limited, because there was no name on the account, so I put X Limited there because I like to have names so I can know which company or which person this thing belongs to. Trial balance as at 31 December 2017. I have my details column. I have a column for your debit and a column for your credit. And if you have a journal, you'll put it in this book, in the journal, right? All right, so the first one on the account is your accounts payable. Remember we said that accounts payable, you owe this money. It's a liability, and so it belongs on the credit side. So here you have your date, details, credit, and the accounts payable, $400 is on the credit side. The next item we have is the accounts receivable. Receivable means that money belongs to us. Somebody owes us that money. That's our debtors. They owe us that money. It's going to come to us eventually, and so it's an asset. And your assets carry what kind of balance? Very good. Your assets carry your debit balances. And so here, the accounts receivable will be under your debit column. The next item we have on the list of balances is your advertising expenses. And as you saw earlier on the chart, it says your expenses will be on your debit side. And so we're going to put the expenses, the advertising expenses on the debit side, which is $600. So there you go, $600. So the first one, accounts payable, on the credit side, $400. Accounts receivable on the debit side, $900, and on the advertising now on the debit side, $600. The next item we have here on the screen is our bank loan of $7,000. Bank loan. Remember, I should have pointed this out. Refresher. So you have your assets, which are things of value that the business owns. The business owns these things, right? And you have your liability, which is what the business owes for. So the bank loan, it means the business may have gone and taken a loan at the bank. This money will have to be paid back at some point in time, and so it's a liability. So this bank loan belongs where? Debit side or credit side? Awesome, the credit side, because it's a liability. So we have the bank loan here, and we're putting it on the credit side, $7,000. Good. The next item we have here is our capital. And the capital also, as you saw earlier, capital, your sales, etc., and the liabilities belong on your credit side. So here we have $10,500, and we're going to put the capital of $10,500 on the credit side, $10,500. The next item is our cash at bank. This is money that we have, or the business has, in the bank account. It's an asset, and so this will go on your debit side. Awesome. So your cash at bank is a debit entry, and see it right here on the screen. So let's repeat so far. So we have from the list of balances we are trying to do our trial balance. And so we have to decide now from this list what belongs on your debit side, what belongs on your credit side, and based on your knowledge of accounts, then you should be able to pick this up. Accounts payable, we owe this money. It says payable, we have to pay that money at some point. So it's a liability for us, and our liabilities will go on the credit side. Accounts receivable, we will get this money from our debtors at some point in time. It belongs to us, and so it's an asset to us. So we have that $900. Advertising is an expense. Expenses carry debit balances always. So we have that $600 right here. Your capital, your bank loan is a liability for us because we have to pay back this money to the bank. We took a loan from the bank, so it goes on your credit side as it's a liability. Capital, also on the credit side, carry credit balances. The business owes the owner this amount of money. So that's why I said it's on the credit side. Next one is drawings. The drawings, as you saw earlier, carry debit balances. And I don't want to get into this to confuse you right now. So let us just leave this until later on when we can get into some more detail. But your drawings carry debit balances because it reduces the amount of money that the business owes the owner. All right, moving on. We have our general expenses here, and it says $700. So as we said earlier, your expenses carry debit balances, and so this $700 will be debited. All right, moving on. So we have purchases now, and these are items coming in, the stock of goods that you're going to sell. So these also will come under your debit side of the account because it's coming into your business, or whatever stocks you're buying will be coming into your business. So your purchases would carry debit balances. It's 6,100, so we're going to put the 6,100 on the debit side. The next item is our sales, and you saw earlier that sales will go on your credit side. When you're selling goods, the goods going out of the business, so you put that on your credit side. So the sales amount would be how much? $8,800. There you go, $8,800. And the last item on the trial balance now is your vehicle. Your vehicle, remember we said assets are things that the business own. So your vehicle is owned by, if it's owned by the business. The vehicle is owned by the business, so it's $14,900, and this belongs on your debit side. Clear so far? Do you want to go over everything? All right, so we have, let me read the question for you once more. The heading is preparing a trial balance from a list of accounts. And it says, on December 31, 2017, the owner of a business extracted the following list of balances from the accounting system. Accounts payable, 400, and we put on the credit side. Like we said, we owe that money, belongs on the credit side. Accounts receivable, money belonging to us, it's owed to us, we'll get that money eventually, so it's an asset, it will go on our debit side. Advertising, it's an expense. Expenses carry debit balances, so we put us on the debit side. Bank loan, $7,000. It's a liability because we owe the bank that money, and so it goes on the credit side. Capital, $10,500. It goes on the credit side because the business owes the owner that amount of money. Right. Cash at bank, that's our money in the bank. It's an asset, so it goes on the debit side. Your drawings also carry debit balances. It goes on the debit side. General expenses, $700, debit side, because what? Your expenses carry debit balances. Purchases carry debit balances as well, $6,100, debit side. Sales, $8,800. Oh, credit side. The vehicle, $14,900. So when you finish now, you'll have to know total both sides of the account. So you're going to add up 900 plus 600 plus 1,200 plus 2,300 plus 700 plus 6,100 plus 14,900. You end up with 26,700. Check for yourself. You can pause and check. The next side now, you have 400 plus 7,000 plus 10,005 plus 8,008. And so both sides of the account are now $26,700. And when you finish now, you will draw your double line to show that you're finished creating your trial balance. So this is one way of doing the trial balance where you have a list of balances. Now, that was one way to do it. The other way now is where you have your T accounts, as you're seeing on my screen now. You have your T accounts, and you will have to pick up your balance brought down figures and put it in the trial balance. Now, this is 8.4x in the franc code for those of you who have franc code. I took the liberty of posting the entries because it would take too much time for me to post all the T accounts and balance off and everything on video. So I took the liberty of doing the T accounts and balancing off because we have a previous video on balancing off the accounts. So all we want now is just the balance brought down figures to put on your trial balance. Remember we said earlier that the trial balance is a summary of all the balances on the account, right? So, and a balance, based on the previous video you saw with balancing off, a balance is the difference between the debit side and the credit side of the account. To do your trial balances, however, you only use your balance brought down figure. So when you finish your T accounts, you want to go through each account individually and pick up the balance brought down figures and write it down in your trial balance. This is my capital account. My balance brought down is on the credit side. So when you go to my trial balance later on, you will see that the capital is on the credit side of the trial balance because I'm picking up these balances and putting them on the trial balance. You move on to your next account, which is a bank account, and you would put bank in your detail, look for your balance brought down and write the amount of money on the debit side because this balance brought down falls on the debit side. I'm going to stop sharing here and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here is my trial balance, X Limited. I like to give my trial balance its name. Trial balance as at, the question had said, as at November 30, 2007. You have the details, you have the debit side, you have the credit side. As we saw in the T account, the capital account, the balance BD falls on the credit side. And so in your trial balance, you write on the details, capital, and the amount of money and put it on the credit side. The bank was on the debit side. And so we have bank 8,528. I'm going back now to my other screen. Here now, let's go down. This is my purchases account, and if you look, the purchases, the balance BD falls on the debit side. And so in your trial balance, you're gonna write purchases on the details and put the 2,580 under the debit column. Your purchases and the 2,580. So what you would do is go through each of the accounts, write the names down and put the figure on the side of the trial balance that it falls on in the T account. So if the capital is on the credit side in your T account, it should be on the credit side in your trial balance. The bank is on your debit side in your T account. The balance BD falls on the debit side, then it should be on the debit side in your actual trial balance, and so on. So you go through each account, write the name down, and write the money, the balance BD on the same side that it falls on in the T account. Through each of the accounts. So T Henricks, no, we would not use T Henricks in our trial balance simply because there is no balance brought down on his account. So he bought some goods for 1,160. He returned 140 out of it and paid 1,020 by the bank. So he owes us nothing. There's no balance in his account. So we would not include this one in our trial balance. J. Smith as well. He bought goods for 230 and he paid it for the 230. So there's no balance on his account. So you would not put J. Smith on your trial balance. So just skip over those and continue. W. Rogers now, he has a balance brought down of 270, and this balance brought down is on the credit side. So you go back to your trial balance and write down T. Rogers under your details and put the balance BD on the credit side. You go down to the next person, P. Bonito, you find the balance BD on the credit side, you go ahead to your trial balance and you write it on the credit side. The cash account, you see there's a balance brought down and it's on the debit side. So you go back to your trial balance and you put your cash under details and the $600 under the debit column. You go to your sales account now, you find that you have a balance brought down of $18.28 on the credit side. So you go to your trial balance, under details, you write sales, and under your columns for debit and credit, under your credit column, you write the $1,828 because the balance BD falls on the credit side. And you do this for each of the accounts. So when you go through the list of accounts, once you see something that has no balance, you leave it out and you continue going down. And you write them one by one. K. Alberja, R. Hall, just pick up your balance brought down figures and put them on. This is what the completed trial balance looks like. X Limited trial balance as at 30 November 2007. Like I said to you, your headings are very, very important, and so you need to spend time on your headings. So you have capital, credit side $11,000, bank, debit side $8,528, purchases $2,580, W. Rogers was on the credit side, so you put it on the credit side $270, P. Bonito credit side $370, the cash was on the debit side, so you put it back on the debit side $600. Sales on the credit side $18.28, the carriage was on the debit side, so it goes back on the debit side here. And you continue all the way down until you're finished with all the accounts. When you're finished now, you total both sides of the account. It should come back to the same amount. If it's different, that means you made some error when you were posting your T account entries. And so you have to go back through the question from scratch, start at the beginning and check each entry, that you have both entries. Because there are times when you might write the debit entry and forget to write the corresponding credit entry because you're rushing, you want to finish early. So, but that's it for the trial balance. It's very, very easy, very, very easy. All I have to do is try to remember that any side the balance brought down falls on in the T account, it goes on the same side in the trial balance. Let me highlight this. So you have a debit side and you have a credit side, right? So if you're in your T account and the balance brought down falls on the debit side, you will come to your trial balance and write the amount of money on the debit side. So first, under your details, you will put the name of the account that you see in the T account. For example, capital, you write capital and then you put the money on the credit side because that's where it was. That's where the balance BD was in the T account. And the bank was on the debit side, and so it comes back on the debit side here. All right. So, any questions? And thank you again for joining me. Hope you learned something.